The moment they walked into the Gilded Spoon, my blood ran cold. 20 years, 2 decades of silence vanished like ghosts, and suddenly they were back. My family. The family who had ripped themselves out of my life when my first marriage detonated. I'm Daniel, by the way, 44, married to the incredible Olivia, with our firecracker of an 8-year-old son, Ethan. But rewind a bit. Before Olivia, there was Sarah. Sarah, my childhood sweetheart, my first wife, married at 22, divorced by 25. A 3-year black hole in my memory I tried to bury for good. Sarah and I were a New York fairy tale, or so I thought. Brooklyn born and bred, together since middle school. Marriage was destiny, the natural next act after college, after we landed those shiny Wall Street jobs. The first few years were pure gold. Then a chill set in, a creeping frost. It was subtle at first, a shift in her eyes, a distance in her touch. I doubled down, romantic dinners under the Manhattan skyline, weekend getaways to the Hamptons. Anything to reignite the spark. Nothing worked. Then, weeks before our 3rd anniversary, the bomb dropped. Divorce papers, ice-cold and official, slapped onto our polished mahogany dining table in our Upper West Side apartment. "I'm done, Daniel," she said, her voice flat, devoid of emotion. "I'm just not in love with you anymore." That was it. 3 years, childhood history, all reduced to 5 words. Fury roared through me, a tidal wave of disbelief and betrayal. I fought back, begged her to reconsider, offered therapy, anything, everything to salvage what we had. But Sarah was a wall of ice. "Not in love," she repeated like a mantra. There was no arguing with a ghost. Divorce was swift, brutal. We had little to untangle financially, thank God. After the papers were signed, she vanished, changed boroughs, cut all ties, and then the real gut punch. My own family evaporated too. My parents, my sister, gone. Like I'd become radioactive. Calls went unanswered, doors slammed shut. It was a phantom limb pain, a gaping hole where my family should have been. During the hardest time of my life, they vanished. I tried everything to reach them, drove to their brownstone in Park Slope, only to be met with locked doors and drawn shades. My sister's phone went straight to voicemail. My parents' number disconnected. It was a ghosting of epic proportions, and the silence. It was deafening. I spiraled. Work became a blur, then non-existent. I quit my job, a high-powered analyst position, and retreated to my apartment, a self-imposed exile. Months bled together in a haze of grief and confusion. If it hadn't been for my ride-or-die crew, my friends from college, I'd have drowned in it. They hauled me out of the abyss, pushed me, prodded me, reminded me I was still alive. They saw the flicker of ambition still burning beneath the ashes. I'd always dreamed of opening a restaurant, a real New York joint. But it had always been a someday fantasy, tucked away for a more stable time. A time when Sarah and I were something. Suddenly, someday was now or never. I threw myself into it, a furious, desperate energy. The family table, the name my parents had casually tossed out years ago, now echoing with a bitter irony. My friends rallied, helped me pitch to investors, hammered out a business plan over late-night pizzas and cheap beer in my cramped apartment. Years of grit and hustle later, the Gilded Spoon was born, a gleaming beacon in the East Village, a testament to resilience, to rebuilding. It thrived. Then another restaurant, then a boutique hotel in Soho. Now, I'm CEO of a burgeoning hospitality group, Empire Eats, expanding across the state, whispers of national recognition in the air. Life against all odds was a roaring success. And then, the interview. Local channel, New York Now, a puff piece about local entrepreneurs. I did it, thinking, why not? I've earned this. Apparently, my family thought so too. 3 days ago, the receptionist, bless her unflappable New York spirit, buzzed me. Mr. Sterling, your family is here to see you. Family. Olivia and Ethan. Odd. They knew I had back-to-back meetings all afternoon. No, Mr. Sterling, she clarified, her voice tight. Your parents and sister. They're waiting in the lobby. My world tilted. My heart hammered against my ribs. It couldn't be. After 20 years. Tell them I'm busy, I stammered, my voice betraying my shock. I'll see them. Later. Later, meaning never. But they weren't going anywhere. The receptionist's voice crackled over the intercom again, laced with panic. Mr. Sterling, they're causing a scene. Damn it. Didn't want security dragging them out, creating a spectacle. I walked out, my hands clenched, bracing myself for what? And there they were. My parents, my sister standing in the polished chrome and glass lobby of my headquarters looking exactly the same. Like 20 years hadn't carved lines of regret and guilt into their faces. Like nothing had changed. Daniel, darling boy, my mother gushed, rushing forward, arms outstretched. My sister, Emily, was right behind her, beaming. So proud of you, Danny. It was surreal, nauseating, the sheer audacity of it. We saw the interview, my father boomed, his voice echoing in the lobby. Fantastic, inspirational. Family should be part of that story. Their words felt like acid, burning through the carefully constructed walls I'd built around my heart. I tried to shut it down, to dismiss them. I'm working, I said, my voice clipped, turning to walk away. But they followed, their voices rising. We saw Olivia and Ethan, so lovely. We want to meet them, our grandson. Then the guilt trip, the carefully orchestrated manipulation. You should have reached out, Daniel. After the divorce. We're still your family. Something shifted in me then. A flicker of something cold and determined. Maybe, just maybe, this grotesque reunion was an opportunity. A chance to finally rip open the wound and see what festered beneath. Instead of ordering security, I stopped. Okay. I said, my voice low, dangerous. Let's talk. I led them to a secluded corner of the lobby, away from prying eyes. Talk, I repeated, sitting down, forcing myself to meet their gaze. Tell me everything. And they did. The floodgates opened, a torrent of carefully curated lies and half-truths, finally collapsing to reveal the putrid truth beneath. Sarah hadn't just fallen out of love. She'd been having an affair with my cousin, Christopher, my dad's older brother's son. Christopher, the entitled golden boy, the family's untouchable prince. My parents had known. They'd been complicit, covering for Sarah, lying to me all along. "We had our reasons, Daniel," my mother pleaded, her eyes glistening with fake tears. "Please, try to understand." Understand. Understand betrayal on a scale I couldn't have imagined. The story unraveled. A sickening tapestry of family loyalty twisted into monstrous self-preservation. Christopher, the spoiled brat I'd always loathed, had decided he wanted Sarah, and Sarah, apparently, was easily swayed. My family, terrified of Christopher's father, my Uncle Robert, the patriarch, the man who held my father's career in his iron grip, had chosen sides. They chose Christopher. They chose Sarah. They chose anyone but me. Uncle Robert, they said, had laid down the law. No contact with Daniel, period, or face the consequences. My father, a successful VP at my uncle's firm, caved. My mother and sister, always followers, fell in line. Cowards, all of them. Then came the final devastating blow. Sarah was pregnant when she filed for divorce. Christopher's child. They knew that too. They'd known everything. "We tried to object, Daniel," my father insisted, his voice strained. To Robert. But he was adamant. He said, "If we maintained contact with you, we'd never see our granddaughter." Granddaughter. Their loyalty bought and paid for with a grandchild they hadn't even met yet. Sarah had moved out weeks before the divorce was finalized. No visible pregnancy bump. I'd been completely blind. My daughter, Emily, almost 20 years old, living in ignorance, believing Christopher was her father, never knowing I existed. It felt like a grotesque soap opera, a nightmare unfolding in broad daylight. "Why?" I whispered, the word raw, torn from my throat. "Why keep it a secret? Why lie? Why abandon me?" They stammered, justifications tumbling over each other, excuses flimsy as tissue paper. "We were protecting you, Daniel. Protecting the family." Protecting me? By erasing me? By stealing 20 years of my life and 20 years of my daughter's? "Protecting yourselves," I spat, the truth bitter on my tongue. You were protecting yourselves, your precious jobs, your comfortable lives. Rage, white-hot and blinding, surged through me. I stood up, towering over them. "Get out," I said, my voice ice. "Get out of my building. Get out of my life." They recoiled, their faces crumpling. "Daniel, please, don't be like this. We're family." "Family," I laughed, a harsh, hollow sound. "You forfeited that right 20 years ago." My sister, Emily, actually dared to say, "We helped you, you know, with the restaurant name. The family table. That was Mom's idea." The audacity was breathtaking. They wanted to claim credit for my success, for the empire I'd built in spite of them, not because of them. "Get out," I repeated, my voice hardening, "or I'll have security escort you out." They persisted, whining, pleading, refusing to leave until we resolved things. Resolved? 20 years of lies and betrayal. There was nothing to resolve. I called security. As two burly men in dark suits approached, my parents and sister finally backed down, their faces contorted with indignation and self-pity. "We had no choice, Daniel," my mother wailed as they were led away. "You don't understand." Choice? They always had a choice. They chose wrong, and now they would live with the consequences. They'd survived 20 years without me. They could survive 20 more, yet they hadn't given up. The emails, the texts, the social media messages were relentless, a digital barrage of apologies and pleas for forgiveness. They even started showing up outside the Gilded Spoon at lunchtime, pathetic figures lurking in the shadows, waiting for me to emerge. I ignored them, drove past in my black SUV, my face a mask of cold indifference. Sometimes, late at night, a flicker of pity? Maybe, but it was quickly extinguished by the burning embers of betrayal. Olivia, my rock, my anchor, listened patiently as I recounted the grotesque reunion. She understood the turmoil, the conflicting emotions, but she also saw the bigger picture. Emily. "Daniel," she said gently one evening after Ethan was asleep, "we need to think about Emily. Regardless of your family, she's your daughter." She was right. Emily. The daughter I never knew. The daughter stolen from me by lies and cowardice. We talked late into the night, weighing options, agonizing over how to proceed. Do we reach out? How? What do we say? And what about my family? Olivia suggested. A conversation. Maybe, she said, her voice soft. Just to clear the air. For your own sake, Daniel. This toxicity, it's eating you alive. But the thought of facing them again, of listening to their pathetic excuses, filled me with a bone-deep weariness. Ignoring them felt safer, easier, for now. But Emily was a different story, a story yet to be written. 10 days have passed since the lobby showdown. Blessed silence. My family has finally retreated, vanished back into the shadows from whence they came. Perhaps exhaustion finally claimed them, or maybe the steely gaze of my security team was more persuasive than I'd given them credit for. Whatever the reason, the quiet is a balm. The constant barrage of emails and texts has dwindled to a trickle. Good. Let them fade away. The guilt that had been gnawing at me, the nagging feeling that I was being too harsh, it's gone. Their relentless apologies, their pathetic pleas, they mean nothing. No amount of sorry can erase 20 years of betrayal. I haven't even bothered blocking their new numbers or email addresses. Let them send their messages into the void. Their words are just static now, meaningless noise. Emily. She's the constant hum beneath the surface, the question mark hanging over everything. Olivia and I decided to stop agonizing, stop waiting for a perfect script, a flawless moment. Rip off the Band-Aid. We found her on social media, a public Instagram profile. Olivia helped me craft a message, honest, simple, explaining who I was, why I was reaching out after all these years. Hit send, and then the agonizing wait. Every notification ping sent a jolt of adrenaline through me. Olivia is incredible, a fortress of support. She understands the complexities, the emotional minefield we're navigating. But I know it's not easy for her either. My past resurrected, slamming into our present. All I can do is hope. Hope Emily is open to hearing my side, to meeting me, to maybe, just maybe, building something from the ashes. My parents sent another email yesterday. Longer this time, more desperate, pleading for a chance to mend our shattered family, promising to wait for me to reach out, to respect my boundaries. A small victory, I suppose. A momentary ceasefire in the emotional war. Relief washes over me, a fragile wave of peace in the storm. I doubt it'll last, but for now, I'll take it. The betrayal still festers, a deep, throbbing wound. But amidst the darkness, a tiny spark flickers. Emily, my daughter. Maybe, just maybe, something beautiful can grow from this wreckage. I haven't told Ethan about her yet. Too soon. Don't want to build castles in the air, only to have them crumble. But if this works, a sister for Ethan, a daughter for me, a family finally, on my own terms. The emotions are a tidal wave, crashing over me. Hope warring with fear, anticipation battling anxiety. But beneath it all, a quiet, persistent hum of hope. 2 weeks. 2 weeks of silence after sending that Instagram message. Then a reply. Simple. Stark. I talked to my mom. My heart slammed against my ribs. She told me. The world tilted again. I want to meet you. That was it. No accusations, no anger, just a desire to meet. She confirmed the shock, the disbelief. Christopher, Dad. Christopher wasn't her father. My name, a stranger's name, was suddenly her blood. She wanted to meet me, Olivia, Ethan. She was a college student out of state, money tight and home life. Complicated, she hinted. So we booked flights. New York to Chicago this weekend. We were going to her. She didn't elaborate on the conversation with Jessica, but I could imagine the fallout. Jessica, the queen of denial, finally cornered, forced to confront her lies. Good. I didn't want Jessica involved. This was about Emily and me. And then the inevitable family explosion. News travels fast in my family, especially bad news. My parents, frantic, started calling again, texting, emailing, their respect for boundaries lasting all of 10 days. Uncle Robert was apparently incandescent with rage. 20 years of carefully constructed lies, teetering on the brink of collapse. My father, ever the peacemaker, was in overdrive, begging me to publicly exonerate Christopher and Uncle Robert, to declare their innocence. Innocence? Of what? Of orchestrating a 20-year deception. Of stealing my daughter from me. Ludicrous. They could squirm, they could beg, they could plead. I didn't care. 20 years. They stole 20 years of my life and Emily's. This was just the beginning of paying that debt. We met Emily today. Chicago. A whirlwind of emotions, a kaleidoscope of awkwardness and wonder. Started tense, brittle, the air thick with unspoken questions. Then something shifted. A laugh, a shared glance, a hesitant touch. By the end of the day, magic. She's incredible. Despite being raised by Jessica and Christopher, two people who embody selfishness and deceit, Emily is kind, compassionate, smart as a whip, mature beyond her 20 years. We talked for hours, the dam finally breaking, years of silence flooding into words. We talked about Jessica, about Christopher, about the tangled web of lies. Emily is clear-eyed, resolute. She's not cutting them out completely, not yet. They're still her parents, in a way, the only parents she's ever known. But boundaries are being drawn, lines in the sand. She needs space, time to process, to grieve the life she thought she knew, and to build a new one. With me, with us, and she needs time to build a relationship with me. I understand. Completely. She's navigating a seismic shift in her reality, a tectonic plate shift in her understanding of her own life. She clicked with Olivia instantly, a warmth that radiated across the table. And Ethan, adoration. Pure, unadulterated little brother adoration. Dinner was surreal. Comfortable silences punctuated by bursts of laughter, shared stories, tentative connections forming like fragile threads, weaving into something stronger, something real. Then, the final piece of the puzzle. My parents. Her grandparents. Turns out they'd been in contact with Emily all along. Birthdays, holidays, cards, calls, a clandestine connection across state lines. Emily had always found it odd, their almost obsessive interest in her, considering they were just her uncle's family. Now it made sense. Their guilt, their desperate attempt to maintain a connection to me, however fractured, however indirect, through her. Everything shifted again. My perception of them, Emily's perception of them, our shared, complicated family history, rewritten in a single day. I'm older. I've lived a lifetime of betrayals and disappointments. I can grasp the complexities, the nuances. But Emily, she's 20. This is her world, shattering and reforming before her eyes. It's a lot. Too much, maybe. But we'll navigate it. Together. We have to. We'll take it slow, one day at a time, one conversation at a time, one tentative step at a time. And maybe, just maybe, we can build something beautiful from the wreckage. Something real. Something lasting. The meeting went well. More than well. It was hopeful. Euphoric even. Despite everything. Despite Christopher. Despite Jessica. Despite my family's years of lies and deceit. I'm happy. Truly, deeply happy. Because Emily, my daughter, finally, my daughter. And finally, a chance to rewrite the ending of my story.